Is it a Jurassic Park quote? Is it Jurassic Park? Life finds a way.
Life finds a way.
Life finds a
Does
way.
indeed, yeah. Yeah, it's a great Jurassic Park
Yeah.
joke, yeah.
Favourite films.
Yeah,
One of my
clever
favourite
girl. Yeah. Who doesn't like Jurassic Park?
Okay, right. I need to actually start talking now.
Right, let's do it. So do your introductions and
Okie doke.
crack on.
Welcome to another episode of the Waffle Shop podcast. Today, I'm very lucky to be in someone who I class as probably one of the most inspiring people that I have on the honour of kind of waffling with. But today I'm joined on the show by a man, in his own words, has been blasted by a spell from Severus Snape, whomped by the Whomping Willow, and even fought Voldemort. It's podcast host of Cunning Stunts, stunt artist, and now author, David Holmes.
Thank you very much for having me on Waffle Shop, Taylor.
I was about to say welcome to the Waffle Shop, but I'm sat in your kitchen.
No, it's all right. Thanks for having me. First, congratulations on your recent award.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like,
Yeah.
you shine a light. Mental health is something we all have to navigate, and it's something that is a buzzword over the last few years. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it's now we're just fully understanding that, your brain, your body's not just a vessel for your brain, and your brain is not a vessel for your body. It's all combined, and you have to work on both of those. And I lost my body from here, so I know what it's like to. It's mad, the detrimental effect if my brain's not right. What happens in my body?
Yeah.
Like things break down, skin quality, all of those things. Because a spinal cord injury is just not the walking part.
No.
It's so many other parts. It's loss of bladder and bowel function, loss of sexual function, loss of blood pressure regulation, temperature control. I mean, I know you're in a t-shirt and I'm in a jumper, but I can't control my temperature. So this house is warm.
It's a beautiful home. But I think this is why this episode in particular is very special to me. Yep. So if you had said all of those words to me like 7 years ago, I would not have had a clue what you were talking about. Yep. Whereas people who listen to the show will know, like 7 years ago, I nearly lost my mom to an operation that went horribly wrong. She's now in a neurological care home, basically requiring 24-hour care. And all of the things that you've just said are I'm not living them, but I'm watching my parent go through that, and it's been horrendous. Yeah. So I have nothing but respect for people who have this ability just to carry on, like regardless of what's thrown at them, they just carry on.
But as a son, you have a job. Do you know what's harder than living with the injury? Seeing your pain in your loved one's eyes.
Yeah, because you can't fix it.
Can't fix it. So you have to go in there and just be you and be bright and be cheerful and just try and elevate what is a very difficult journey for your mum. I'm really sorry that you've gone through that as a family, but it gives you perspective.
Yes, which is, to be fair, is a very good starting point. It was literally the key word that I wrote down. Because
excuse that coffee machine.
No, it's fine.
It's a very annoying noise. Whilst it's more annoying than a partner you've been living with for 30 years.
To be fair, the people who listen to this will know. Like I'm the annoying noise, so they're used to it.
Yeah. So if you give it a minute, it will stop cleaning itself. Yeah, it makes itself known. It makes good coffee, but it makes itself known.
It's nice.
Yeah. So.
It'll be fine.
You sure?
Yeah, it'll be sound.
Yeah.
But yeah, perspective.
Yeah.
At first, it's very difficult, and obviously hindsight is a beautiful thing. But for people who aren't familiar with you or your journey, obviously you worked on some of the most incredible films ever made, but a series in particular that has touched the hearts of millions around the world and continues to touch the hearts of millions. The Harry Potter series.
Yep.
You're a stuntman, and then on a day, one of those stunts didn't quite go to plan. Yep. Is that safe to say?
That's safe to say, yeah. It was a stunt I'd done 100 times before. Stunt work, you should be pushing the boundaries of what audiences should be seeing and expecting. Obviously, the Harry Potter series gets a lot darker, and the fights become more intense. In every wand reaction in the Harry Potter series, you see someone flying back on a wire. I was rehearsing one of those wire stunts, and unfortunately, through no fault of my own, something went terribly wrong, and I collided with a wall at a ridiculous velocity. My chest folded into my nose, and my spinal cord separated just here at the C6, C7 vertebrae. So, instantly paralysed. I stayed conscious for a bit, managed to sort of regather my breath, knew what I did straight away. I'd broken enough bones in my career and in my life to know what it feels like. And then it was a long time in hospital and trying to rebuild a life after what was a very serious trauma.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of ups and downs along that journey. But in perspective, it sort of like it changed who I was. And I always say it made me grow up and made the people around me grow up very quickly.
There's a lot of, like, when it comes to like the hospital, like the waiting rooms and all that kind of stuff, there is a lot of waiting. Obviously, it's the waiting room. But like, even when you're in those positions, there's a lot of like uncertainty. There's a lot of what is going on. I don't know what the outcome of this is going to be. Yeah. So there is like a lot of impact, obviously on the body for obvious reasons, but from a mental point of view, your determination and your resilience throughout the whole process has just been so inspiring. Like it's ridiculous. Like how did you do it? How did you keep yourself kind of like moving forward?
I've always been fortunate to have a lot of love in my life, a lot. And I've, a lot of support, great support network and people around me. And my parents raised me with love and they had the audacity to do that despite how annoying I was as a young kid. Great brothers and a great support network in the stunt community and my Potter family. So I didn't want, I was protecting them. And by doing that, it was helping me cope.
Yeah.
Like I say, the hardest thing is seeing pain in your loved one's eyes. So to sort of try and, you feel guilty after you do that to someone, like after they have to see you go through that trauma, the guilt of that. So the only way I knew how to repay it was just to show people that I can get on with it. Like, yes, I'm different, but I'm still alive. Like, I'm still here. You know what I mean? I've just got to learn how to live a different life. And I've learned and I'm still on that journey.
And also doing it in a manner that is genuinely inspiring. Like, if you could see the house, like there was not many people. Like, I was genuinely like, I had to kind of pick my jaw off the floor when you said that you designed this house from your hospital bed.
Pretty much, yeah. I learned very quickly the most disabling thing about being a wheelchair user is your environment. So I wanted to create an environment where I didn't feel disabled. So in this space, I have technology that allows me to open every door. I can, with my voice, I can turn the lights on and off, control all of the TVs, like everything in this environment. I'm more able in here than you are, like with what I can control. So that allows me to live and be in a space, because I'm in the house a lot, where I've got a sense of independence, and anything you get back along the journey is a win. Any little bit of independence is a win. So I was in hospital, favourite program, Grand Designs, and I was like, there might be an opportunity to do it. How would you like to do it? So, and I didn't want it to look like a disabled person's house with equipment everywhere and all that lot. It's carefully designed, so it's a beautiful environment to be in. And houseplants make you happy. Yeah. I've got lots of plants.
Yeah, there's a lot good. I feel like I'm sat in the jungle.
Yeah.
How different it might have been if you actually just like, rather than Grand Designs, if you got like addicted to watching like Come Dine With Me or something.
I mean, I can't cook. So it was definitely...
That was out the window.
Out the window. But just knowing how I can live in this space, like I've got like things in place that like a therapy pool that me and other disabled people in the community use for rehab. I've got a steam room that helps me avoid chest infections in the winter and helps me spike my temperature. Like all of those things, there's nowhere in the world where I can live as healthy compared to this environment.
Than home.
Yeah, than home, and that's what it should be. It's my sanctuary.
Yeah, which you have created. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm going to jump ahead a little bit to the book, a little bit, and one of the questions that I did want to answer, because you get asked a lot about the whole like walking situation, like that's the one thing. And I have this conversation quite a lot with my mom, because I think a lot of people, again, kind of like I'm paraphrasing like from the book, about people just expect that that's the thing that you miss the most.
Yeah, it's projection of ableism, isn't it, really? There'd be a list of 10 things I'd take over walking again. Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just people's assumption. And I was a super physical person.
Yeah.
I was a human being that had to move for their brain to work at the optimum level. Now, that changed in 2009. And I had to learn to rethink and replan. And now I've got as a gymnast, I had foresight. I'd close my eyes, picture my routines, and before I'd go and do it. As a stunt performer, I had foresight. I would think of where the camera angle is and like how the camera would see the stunt I was performing. And now I have foresight with my disability. I'm always 5, 6, 10 steps in front. You know, like anxiety hits all of us. And navigating in a world that doesn't care about me can bring anxieties in. So what I do is I plan ahead. Google Street View is one of like the greatest gifts for a wheelchair user, because you can map your route on how you're getting into somewhere. You can ring the venue, what your accessibility is like. All of those things I put in place before I leave this house.
Yeah.
Because it's hard for me to leave, you know, like all the time I'm navigating uneven surfaces, it increases my pain. You know, all the time that I'm losing my temperature, it like increases my pain. So I've got a rule. It's hotels, home, and hospital. So I make sure the first two are really good, because the last one is really hard.
Yeah.
So
Do you know what? Again, it's remarkable, because it's just these kind of things like you just wouldn't think of. And I think, I think it goes back to what you said earlier about you're more able, like, and I guess as a lot of that skill, well, I guess I'm kind of answering my own question, but like a lot of that skill has come from your time doing stunts in gymnastics and having to know the next move.
My life was a perfect rehearsal for being a quadriplegic. And I'm going to stop you there, because that is a green woodpecker on my garden. And that's a rare bird to see. And we should always pay attention to when nature gives you a gift like that. That is a beautiful animal. And
I've never seen one of those before in my life.
what a gift, right? Yeah.
Do you know what I find so remarkable? And you've kind of just, it just really reminded my mum then, it's about you find the joy in it. And I'm using the word joy in particular because one of my mum's best friends, her name was Joy, she sadly lost her life to cancer. But every time there's two magpies, she's like, there's joy. Yeah. And it's just like that feeling that, it's in this world that we're living in, that is pure chaos, uncertainty. It's taking the time to recognise those moments.
That just brought us back down to earth and reminded us that we're animals, that we share and we inhabit this space with other creatures that are beautiful.
Yeah.
So we should always take note and pay attention when we're given that.
Tiraz, speaking of like kind of like paying attention and kind of like your time in hospital, like obviously you had like grand designs and stuff like that. We talk about coping mechanisms a lot on the show. Like I know we've got a lot in common when one of my biggest ones is Lego.
Yeah,
I've seen the Taj Mahal. I've seen like various bits around the house. What are the things like when kind of like time does get a little bit tough, like do you lean on to get you through?
Art, film, TV, stories, music. Oh,
Yes. If you speak about language now.
It's the best of what we are, art. Like always has been, always will be.
Yeah.
You know, and because you're bringing something to the table, you're not taking something. And as human beings, we're taught that just by existing, that we're making this place affect that beautiful animal.
Yeah.
And by creating art, and you're giving a gift to the world, other human beings and environments, as long as it's not too detrimental.
Yeah.
So art for sure. Music is just, it's part of my process from the moment I wake up. my life is soundtracked, and writing the book, right? So I had to relive my worst day
Yeah.
over and over again, with the editing and then with the legal team and all of those things that come with publishing your autobiography about a stuntman paralysed on a kid's film.
Yeah.
So it was hard, and there was certain aspects of it that I had to navigate that did have a detrimental effect on me. But at the end of the book, when it was finished, I then curated playlists for every single chapter. And that was the healing I needed.
That's one of the best things I've ever heard.
It was brilliant. It was so good to be like, okay, I'm going to go back to that time in my life. What was I listening to? Okay, I'm going to go to, this is the mood that I want to set for the reader. So every song's got 20 or 30, every playlist got 20 or 30 songs. Some people might not like them, so they can skip, so there's enough to read. But it was definitely the healing process of post-writing that I needed.
No, I love that. And to be fair, I'm kind of piggybacking on the back of it. Like music, especially for me, it kind of, there's a lot of these artists, albums, songs that have always been able to kind of like say what I can't say.
Yeah.
And I've never kind of thought about films or even pieces of art in that kind of like way before until you just said it.
Yeah.
When it comes to the book, obviously it's out this week when this goes out. The Boy Who Lived.
Yeah.
I've had people on the show before from like the music world who have kind of gone through like heartbreak, loss, all these kind of things and created these kind of incredible songs and albums.
Yeah.
How was the writing process? You kind of touched upon it just then, but how was it?
Hard but cathartic.
Yeah.
It was revisiting things that I'd locked away. That was like, oh, you haven't dealt with that. You know what I mean? Oh, that's, a hard moment that you still have been storing away or you've been protecting yourself from. But it was definitely a journey that put a lot of pressure and stress on me, which had a knock-on effect for my PA team, as you know, with your mum.
Yeah.
Like, I can only exist because of the people that are in my life that help me.
Yeah.
So, it definitely, all the people that work for me will say, he's had a difficult couple of years. Like, the documentary and, sticking my story out there was a very filtered down version of who I am. The book is not. The book, I get to say my truth. That's not, and this is important.
It's your words.
Yeah, this is very important. It's not a kid's book. Some young minds might be drawn to my book. Don't read it yet.
Yeah.
Wait until you're a little bit more grown up. But because of that, I'm writing a kid's book right now. Yeah, about
It's just the gift that keeps on giving.
about a teenage stunt performer.
Okay.
My life.
It's your journey.
Yeah, my journey, and I'm threading in all the stuntman and stuntwoman lore of all the amazing people that I know and talented people that I worked with. All the big stunts that they performed in their career and all the movies that they worked on. This all thread through the kids' books. But the idea is to create a series of books that every film genre is a different adventure. So if it's a horror story, the kid has to work in a haunted house. If it's a sci-fi film, he has to go to astronaut school. And so I want to deliver 120,000 words, strip it down to 75,000 for the first one, and then I've written a book as big as the first Harry Potter.
You are a man on a mission.
I'm on a journey of neurological decline.
Yeah.
The really hard truth is I don't know whether I retain independent breathing, speech and swallow. Like, that's a scary thought.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use my voice before I lose it by creating art and having a positive effect on society. Literally a week ago, I was in front of 3,000 lawyers, politicians, public civil servants, and I was just reminding them that one day you're all going to be part of my community.
Yeah.
Age and time are cruel things. So if you invest in my community today, you get a better tomorrow.
Yeah.
And disability can affect anyone at any stage. You could fall over, hit your coccyx, and then you're a wheelchair user.
I mean, it's not guaranteed, is it? It's a luxury to grow old in
Yeah,
this day and
it is a
age.
luxury to grow old.
And I love the word that you just said. It's like it's an investing. It's
Yeah.
like it's not a case of like we need this.
No,
Like one day, you or someone that you love is going to need this in some capacity.
Yeah. And people always say, "Oh, spinal cord injury will be fixed," and try and apply it to my story like it'd be a happy ending. And I'm like, yeah, but there'll always be kids born in wheelchairs.
Yeah.
Born that they will need wheelchairs, or that will be born with disabilities. So, like, don't think that just because mine might be fixed, and it might be, won't be for me, probably not, but it might be for someone that's newly injured. But like, don't think that that's the happy ending, because we've always got to work for a society that caters for all people. And one day you might be old and you want to go to the seaside, have your fish and chips, and that takes investment and infrastructure, and most importantly, policymakers that lead with empathy. And right now, we have no Minister for Disabilities.
Yeah. It's very telling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what level is your mum with a neurology? Has she
So
got any function above?
No, so she's got very limited hand movement. Her brain is it's still my mom. Like, it's still my mom. Like, her personality and stuff like that is very much, like, the potty mouth and stuff is very much still my mom. But it's kind of like short term. So there's quite a lot of time where we have to kind of have the same conversation and stuff. She calls herself Dory quite a lot. Because there's a lot of kind of like repeating and stuff. But just lower half, like it hit the motor side of the brain. And she used to be so active. She used to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning, like with a fag in her hand, coffee, hoovering the AstroTurf. So it's been like the way you just said it about this can happen in the blink of an eye. And in a matter of hours, life went in a completely different direction. So investing in it now is...
I sponsor a young girl, Scarlett. She's I help with a physiotherapy over at NeuroConnects, and she literally just had a blood clot in her spinal cord, and boom, that was it. She was like 8 years old.
Oh, mate.
Yeah, I think 8 or 9. But she's on Scarlett's journey. She has a charity football match every year, and she works hard on her physio. And I always tell her, it's not where you end up, it's just the fact that you just keep on going. That's the most important thing.
No, you've got to.
You just got to get on with it. Like,
one of the kind of like the taglines that has come from the podcast, and again from kind of like my mum's journey, is like, you can literally do anything. The only thing you can't do is give up.
Yeah.
And it's just been that kind of constant reminder of that we just have to keep going.
Life is a lesson of loss. It's a lesson of loss, whether you like it or not. No one gets away with it. You lose the people you love, you lose the function of the body you love, and then you lose the life that you love. Now, I learned that lesson at 25.
Yeah.
The hardest of ways. And I continue to have to deal with that lesson by grieving for the loss of function on this one side of my body. And with every muscle group that goes, I have to adjust my care routine. I have to adjust my physicality, how I sit. One day I'll be probably tilted back and my neck will be supported because I just won't be able to hold the weight in my neck. But I always say to people, like, nothing's set in stone. You've always got to sort of be malleable and be accepting of change.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing and a curse. Like, the curse is what I live with. The blessing is it teaches me to be present. Now, I'm present with you right now, but I can't help but my eye be drawn to that.
The beauty over there.
Beautiful bird. I can't help but do that. Like, my life is seen, my memories are made for a film lens, a 16:9 frame, because that's what I grew up with. My first experience of Hollywood, I was 13 years old. Hanging around with Matt LeBlanc.
I did honestly find this wild.
I know, wicked, like hanging around with like Gary Oldman, Matt LeBlanc, and like just 13 years old in a movie studio, just playing around in the stunt department, and then seeing my stunts on a camera. There's a lovely aeroplane. Annoyingly, I live under a flight path for podcasters.
I've missed that sound. I've missed that sound. It's been a while.
So because of that, my memories are made in a frame like that, and they're formed like that. Now, my partner reads a lot, and when she thinks of her memories, they're all subtitled.
Oh,
Whereas
wow.
when I think of my memories,
You see them.
I see them. I see the light, the way it's working, like
Yeah.
the way it's changing, or like just something that will catch me. So that's why the staging is in this house what it is. The lighting is what it is, because I grew up
beautiful.
on a film set. So
Do you remember? Yeah, actually, I'm kind of like seeing it now. Speaking of film sets, obviously it would be rude not to have a conversation around one of the most remarkable film series of all time that you grew up with. You helped create like that element of joy for a lot of people. Did you know it was going to have the impact it had when you first like?
tough one. Films are always like a roll of the dice.
Yeah.
But the source material was so good. Joe's writing is so good, and Harry's such a character, and all of the cast, the characters that we can all like align with in some way, certain aspects of their personality or their journey. So I first got the nod from Greg that he might be working on this film called Harry Potter something and something. And the first 2, maybe 3 books were out. So I then went away from that one day's work, which was on a film called Bedazzled. I went away and
Elizabeth
I read
Hurley.
Elizabeth
Yes.
Hurley, yeah.
Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser,
Yes.
Elizabeth
Yeah,
Hurley.
yeah.
Do you know I had to be in a classroom and the director, Harold Ramis, Egon from Ghostbusters. Yeah, I know, right? And the director was like, right, okay, all you boys have got to fancy Liz Hurley, and when she drops the bald rubber, you've all got to dive in for it. And you, David, at the front, you're going to be the one that picks it up. Can you do that? I was like, yeah, fancy Liz Hurley?
Yeah, what a tough job.
Not a problem. Yeah, I mean, having 20 of my mates pile on top of me afterwards.
And this is coming from the man who's like swung from buildings,
Yeah.
has been shot at, like fire, set on fire.
Set on fire, yeah. But yeah,
that was the difficult part.
that was the hard part, yeah. So on that film, Greg said, "Oh, I'm working on Harry Potter," and then I went away, went back to college, but started reading the books. I got a phone call. Greg was he'd just finished Lord of the Rings, the first one, was doing Band of Brothers, and was about to start Harry Potter. And then I was called in for the first broomstick test. So I became the world's first Quidditch player. Jumped on a broomstick.
I find this absolutely fascinating with this.
Jumped on a broomstick that was strapped to the back of a truck, driven down a runway at the studios. Chris Columbus was looking at me down a camera lens, and that's how we worked out Quidditch was going to be filmed. I mean, that's a lot safer. I mean, we didn't put the kids on the truck and drive them at 30 mile an hour. We did that with me.
Yeah,
But we used, we were able to then put it in the studios, blue screens and wind machines, and that's how we worked out Quidditch was going to be done. And that's a lot safer than throwing a load of kids out of an aeroplane, right?
With a broom.
Which was an option. Which, Greg was like, let's just try that.
Give it a go.
Yeah. So one of the stunt boys actually did jump out of the plane with a video, someone else taping it with a broomstick. But
with a parachute, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
just double checking.
Yeah, not really insurable for young cast members.
I do have to ask, though, because I don't think I've actually ever spoken to a Quidditch player before. Yeah. How uncomfortable are those broomsticks?
They got better as the years went on.
Okay.
As the cast grew up. But I sat just sit on a bike seat, take your feet off the pedals and put all your weight through your crutch, and then sit there for 3 hours whilst the crew line a shot up around you and be on a cold stage and have 100 mile an hour wind blasting in your face by air cannons. Not the most comfortable of things, but no one on this planet...
Make it sound like beautiful, though.
Trust me, no one on this planet has got more broomstick miles than me. If they converted them to air miles, I'd be flying first class for the rest of my life. If only they did. But,
with the film series, though, I'm going to weave it back into the book now. I think, obviously, from like seeing the documentary, having this conversation with you, and like seeing like even the chapters of it about like the Horcruxes and all this kind of like different things, like, do you find it more relatable with kind of like the story of Harry Potter now, like writing your own book or even kind of living through what you have lived through?
Yeah, the story of Harry is one of light over dark, right?
Yes.
Harry chooses to always look and try and find the best in his journey, which is fraught with terrible things. Starts off as a baby that loses his parents. Now, I was one of the few people that had the honour of wearing the scar and the glasses and the cape. And then post-injury, realising that I've got my own hardships to navigate. And now after writing the book, I really reconnected to Harry.
Yeah.
And I love what it means to so many people. There are kids right now in conflict zones around the world that are watching Harry Potter on the phone, going through terrible things. It's making them feel safe. Now, my 30 seconds on camera or a minute on camera throughout the franchise contributed to that. I find a lot of comfort in that, you know.
Yeah,
so
of course.
it's just it was one of the greatest honours. So now to reconnect back to Harry and also to sort of relish in what it does for so many people gives me strength. So yeah, I don't know. Harry's a cool character, and he was.
But so is David Holmes.
Yeah, I can be a bit of a knob. You know, what
We
I
can
mean?
all be a bit of a knob.
Yeah, there's no denying that. But I mean, just ask the people that work for me. The thing is, I push hard for my life.
Yeah.
Really hard, because no, I don't get it easy. Like hardship is from the moment I wake up when I have to go boom. Right, how am I getting out of bed? And I've got to navigate different people coming in and the energy they bring into my room, and then the processes of just getting in this chair. You know, this morning is 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I do all of what I have to do.
Yeah.
You know, but I deliberately put myself under harder stresses. So I hold my breath in that pool underwater.
Yeah, I've heard this.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
surreal again.
Yeah, so I can only breathe from my diaphragm.
Yeah.
So I have no intercostal muscles that lift my chest. And being that breathing might be on my journey, that it might be, inhibited, I'm not going to sit there and just let it happen.
Yeah.
So I work at holding my breath for as long as possible. And you might be surprised, 4 minutes and 25 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah. It's your brain. It's your
Yeah.
brain. You can quiet down all the noise. It's one of my favourite places underwater.
Do you know what? Again, water's one of my, I feel oddly safer when I'm closer to water.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just something about the stillness. One of my, when everything happened with my mom, one of my happy places is on a lazy river.
Yeah.
There's just something about being in control, but also not being in control, and just kind of almost going with the flow, if you kind of pardon the.
Yeah, no, it's again, swimming's a gift, and it's a gift that I lost, but I'm not scared of drowning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I sit on that pole at the bottom. Someone stands on my shorts, and I sit with a scuba bottle on, and I can sit upright without the pain of holding my head on my shoulders because I'm unsupported.
Yeah.
So I can really get a sense of calm, and because of that helps with the breath hold. So yeah, and then in the morning, every morning, I have a 45-degree steam room, and I'm holding my breath and box breathing in the steam room. So 5 seconds in, hold for 5 seconds, out for 5 seconds, wait for 5 seconds. If you get really good at it, you can go to 10 seconds. It's really hard.
Yeah.
I'd put myself under that stress with the extreme heat. And then I'm like,
But to be fair though, thinking about you hear these stories. I think it was Beyonce who, she taught her, obviously incredible singer, but she sings when she's on a treadmill. And then I think there was a story where I think it was a dad who used to kind of make her run, but attach a parachute to her back and sing at the same time to kind of build that resilience. So it's.
Yeah, I mean,
you do it for your art.
Yeah, if you can put yourself under hardship, normally first thing in the day is great. If you go out and exercise, all of the rest of the stresses of the day will bounce off of you a lot easier.
It's I don't know. I feel like I've tried to stop myself from crying about 3 times in this.
But exercise is a gift.
Yes.
And I know it because I lost it.
Yeah.
And a working body is a gift. So you should always appreciate what you've got when you've got it.
Yeah. Before it's too late.
Before it's too late. Yeah.
I want to touch upon briefly some of the people who have kind of been on your journey with you. And one of the most beautiful friendships that I've seen like on the documentary, and even like reading the start of your book is obviously with Daniel Radcliffe.
Bless him.
Like it's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's
I love
like
him. He's my
absolutely
boy.
incredible, and like to see like just how much support there has been. Like even before all of this happened, like you were best friends, like growing up in this environment.
Yeah.
It was just like
Yeah.
incredible.
We started off like my little brother, and then I was his PE teacher throughout all of
Yeah.
the film franchise, and he'd come to the stunt department and we'd shut the doors and I'd let him be a kid. And we'd play and we'd do all of the things that an insurance company would have a nightmare about. But we'd, put him on trampolines, teach him somersaults, get him fit, get him exercised. And then as the films grew, that relationship went from little brother to one of my best friends.
Yeah.
And we've been on holidays together. And you got to watch him grow up on camera.
Yeah.
And like the whole world did. But I get to watch him grow as a man. And it's one of the greatest gifts ever. So very fortunate to have him in my life. And we FaceTime or leave video messages to each other all the time. And just seeing the person that he's grown into.
Yeah.
Because navigating the world as a really famous kid is not easy at all. And, they're all victims of their own successes.
Yeah.
They're all extremely good and developed into amazing actors.
Well, all of that, the roster of people on that. Obviously, you've got Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, but even Alan Rickman, like Maggie Smith, like Michael Gambon, like it's Gary Oldman again. Like you kind of, when you reel off these names, like you instantly, like you can picture them. Like as a film lover, how was it? Kind of the idols,
really, really cool. They like. All of these people were just wonderful to work with. And it's not just the cast, but the crew.
Yeah.
I got to work with the best of British talent for like almost a decade. I, interacted with amazing characters, actors, camera operators, directors, you name it. I got to work with them. And I feel honoured that I was part of the clan. You know what I mean? And I was really, really lucky in my career to work with the people that I worked with. And like, there is a knock-on effect in my life to this day because of some of those people. It's because of Alan Rickman and Robbie Coltrane and Maggie that the right contract was negotiated so that anyone was on the Harry Potter films was, given an American equivalent contract. Well, it's because of that, like, I can purchase wheelchairs like this.
Yeah.
It's because of that I can help people out by funding their wheelchairs.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's so the foresight that the late great Alan had and the people that we've lost now to collectively come together and say, yeah, we'll work on these films, but we would like an American equivalent contract. Well, that's laid a foundation that's had a knock-on effect, not just in my life, but in thousands of other lives. If you're on camera in those films on the right contract, you'll get a royalty check, and those royalty checks are a safety net in my life and for loads of other people. There are stunt performers that worked on that film that done 2 days work that little check that comes in allows them now who are fully retired, that are dealing with all the injuries they picked up on their career. It allows them to go for physio. It allows them to have a long weekend away or whatever it is. And that's because of, those wonderful people.
That's actually beautiful.
Cool, right?
Oh my God.
Really cool.
I didn't know that.
What a gift to the world, and to just the wave that those contracts aren't available anymore. Yeah. They don't do that anymore. They just buy you out and that's it. And it's a shame, really.
Yeah.
It's a shame that it's business, isn't it? They're giant studios and there's a reason why they're billions of dollars and shareholders and all of those things, because that's the way they practice business. But casino capitalism.
Join us for episode 2 for that.
yeah. It's not really.
We dive into that.
Yeah, we're not really doing the best for society and the world by constantly putting profit over people.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of people, and you said something that I have actually got written down about gifts to the world. Yeah. I'm going to take this quote directly from Albus Dumbledore. Yeah. And I think it's just so relevant to you, the story, and what's about to happen for you. But the quote is, happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one only remembers to turn on the light.
Yeah.
And I think now when I used to think of that quote, I think of Dumbledore. Now when I hear that quote, I genuinely think of like people like you, my mom, like just finding those moments of joy.
Whatever the light is, you've got to celebrate it.
Definitely.
Yeah. You know, grey day today, yeah? Been on an aeroplane?
Yes.
Yeah, so you just got to fly above the cloud line.
Yeah.
Sun's there.
This is you got to do with a smile on your face.
Yeah, you got to, and to be able to laugh at yourself, like that's one of my lights. Like the ridiculousness of living with a spinal cord injury and a broken neck.
Yeah.
My bowels alone warrant their own sitcom.
Yeah.
Can I swear?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. The places I've shit myself are amazing.
It is literally like talking to my mum now.
I've shit myself on top of a mountain in Switzerland. I've shit myself in rooms full of people. Like I've got a catheter and, my mum had to, because I get priapisms.
Yeah.
So involuntary erections is a side effect.
Okay.
Like of some people with a spinal cord injury don't get them and
Yeah.
some people do. So I'm very, careful about talking about this. But for me,
Yes.
that's a side effect.
Yeah.
And I have no control over it. But so I was in hospital and my mum had to navigate one of my backhand. She was backhanding my erection out the way to try and help me with my catheter. And I just pronounced to the ward, I was like, I just hit rock bottom, boys. That was it.
This is it.
That
This
was
is the
it. That was
moment.
rock bottom for me. Like, where do we go from it? We can only go up from here.
No, the down. You need to go down.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, hopefully go down. But then they're like, you've had one for 6 hours. We're going to have to give you an injection, or you can get. I was like, no. I was like, no needle is going anywhere near that. I'll get rid of it. And I've worked out if you bite your kneecaps hard enough, you can get rid of an erection. Yeah, it's weird, right? I know.
The gift that keeps on giving.
The gift that keeps on giving, and that's spinal cord injury. And
I love how we got from like this really beautiful quote from Albus Dumbledore to
bone stories.
if you bite your kneecaps, it gets rid of it.
Gets rid of it, yeah. So, but yeah, that to be able to laugh at the ridiculous.
You have to.
And
You have
life, like it's the best thing about having a laugh is you don't do it alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's infectious as well.
It's infectious.
So the minute I'm very, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, but I've been given one of those laughs that we did a comedy festival last week, and they weren't laughing at me. They were laughing at my laugh because my whole, I chuckle.
Yeah.
And it's just like, if you've got it, flaunt it.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
Embrace it. Yeah, and that's it. Lean into whatever it is that helps you find the light. And laughing at yourself and laughing at life is one of those things that I've been able to do and continue to do so,
How are you feeling ahead of the book being released?
A little bit exposed,
Yeah.
not going to lie. It's raw, it's honest, it's open. I, talk about the mistakes that I made trying to rebuild my life, whether that was some of my journey with drugs and alcohol and the funny stories that they made, but also stuff that I know is going to be clickbait. I know that someone's going to write a salacious headline that's going to use it to frame me in a certain way. Now, disability is framed as being victim all the time. I'm not a victim of my disability. I'm a victor.
Yeah.
I choose to live with it, not against it. I choose for it to not take over me, but for me to take over it. So I know that some really shitty articles are going to be written where people take one snippet of the book and it's going to create clickbait and then it's going to be taken out of context. I employ everyone. Read the book. Read the whole thing. And also, read, right? Yeah, it's a gift. Trust me, I can't hold a book. I can't turn a page. I'd give anything to get that back. I'd take that over walking. To actually read. Do you know they've done studies? If you want to seem attractive to people, just sit there and have a read. People go, oh, that's someone. You know what I mean? It's a cool thing, and it's lost in society. We've got these silly devices.
Oh, we just sit and stare. Yeah,
these silly devices that they want us scared. They want us reading these salacious news articles and making our own opinions on someone's life, which is one paragraph.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't put me in a 90-minute documentary and get all of me, and you can't put me in 85,000 words and get all of me.
No.
You know, and like, even it's the best I can give you in those 80,000, 5,000 words. But there is way more to me, and there will be way more to me along my journey.
Of course.
Like,
It's far from over.
Yeah, far from over, yeah.
And to be fair, and I think I'm hoping like anyone who's listened to this who might, you know, be in a similar situation to yourself, or like my mom, or even struggling like it's a bad mental health day.
Yeah.
Like, I think the pair of us are kind of sat here like we carried on, we pushed through it. It doesn't like, you know, look for the joy in the day, the woodpecker, you know, the grey skies, like it's finding the beauty in it. And I think if you are having a bit of a shitty day or anything like that, like tomorrow's a brand new one.
Yeah.
Just got to keep going.
Just got to keep going, you know. What's giving up? Well, giving up for me is not getting out of bed.
Yeah.
And I've spent one of the last years of 15 in a bed. There's only so many ceilings you can stare at.
Yeah.
You know, and like, thankfully, when I'm stuck in that situation, I lean into art. I tune into music, film, TV.
Yeah.
You know, after my surgeries in 2019, I couldn't move and I was stuck staring at a ceiling. So what I do, I got a
That
projector.
hospital lighting as well.
Oh, God. It's
Why is it
horrendous.
like that?
Oh, it's horrendous. I mean, that is an aggression to deal with
Yeah.
all day long. That's why you can't see any direct lights in this house. It's all hidden.
Awful. I don't know who designed this.
Yeah, I know. They didn't get it. But it's like, light pollution is very real. Same as like sound, like the constant beeps and all of those things that you have to navigate. But when I was lying there flat, staring at the ceiling, I was like, I couldn't move left or right.
Yeah.
So I just got a projector and stuck the Lord of the Rings on the ceiling, and 14 hours.
To be fair, that'll keep you going.
14 hours of Middle Earth got me through it, you know? I mean, the Hobbits are my Harry Potter.
Yeah.
You know, Frodo is my Harry Potter. I love those films. I love the whole Tolkien world. I like the TV series. Like, for me, that's one of the greatest stories ever told. And just like Potter's one of the greatest stories ever told. But because I was part of it, I can't really can't connect as much. But then I can with the books. Very few people got the opportunity to read the books and go, oh, I'm going to be doing that.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing that. You know, there's still my books in the library there. My Post-it notes are there for all of the stunt breakdowns of an action sequence, where I'd put a Post-it note in and then I'd write, okay, there's a stunt here.
Yeah.
It's going to be done by this character. This is how we can do it. No one, like, very few people had that journey with reading Harry Potter. So, very fortunate to have had that connection for it.
To be fair, I could sit and talk to you like all day. Like, my face is actually aching now from like smiling all along. You mentioned earlier that you're a big music fan.
Yeah.
I do have one final question for you. Now, it's a bit of a weird one because obviously you've had the documentary and all that kind of stuff. However, when the day comes and they're making the film of David Holmes, like the journey, the whole journey, you know, Glastonbury, the Ibiza trips, like all those kind of things. What song is going to be playing when the credits start to roll?
You can't ask me for a song. That's too hard. Do you know what, this morning, because I knew we'd touch on music, and this morning I was like, I'm going to go, because I'm an album guy.
Yes, it's very rare these days.
I'm an album guy,
very rare,
through and through.
impressive.
So I wrote my albums that I turn to when I'm going through it, or when I need to, just take that day. So let me list some off.
Okay.
First album that made me fall in love with what a whole album was, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Like,
You just give me goosebumps. Okay.
Ben Howard, Every Kingdom.
Okay.
Yeah. Bon Iver, For Emma. Frank Ocean, Blonde. George Michael, Symphonica.
Okay.
I loved George.
Yeah.
Like, that is a human being that lived the amazing human being, George Michael, and all the stories we find out about how good he was in the world, like, after he's left us. So yeah, George Michael, Symphonica, where that's live with an orchestra.
Yes.
It's beautiful. James Blake, the covers EP, where he sings Billie Eilish's covers. I love that. Bill Withers live at Carnegie Hall. Great
Lovely
album.
Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill Withers, yeah. Lean on Me, come on. Taylor Swift, Folklore.
They share a name.
Yeah.
There's no judgment here.
Yeah.
You gave me a look there to see like if I was going to judge you. No judgment here.
Anybody that says Taylor Swift,
no,
don't be a music
what
Nazi,
a woman.
man.
Yeah,
like, just be open to all art.
No, I get that when I tell people I'm a Pitbull fan.
Yeah,
right. Pitbull for me is like an instant ray of like joy, happiness. Like I appreciate what you just said.
Yeah, you should always be open to all art, and don't close your eyes and your ears to the gift what someone's putting out in the world. They're exposing themselves. They're giving part of their life and their journey.
Yeah.
And to just turn your nose up at it. That honestly, Folklore for me, I mean, I found it after the lockdown year, but it's the best thing to come out of the lockdown.
Wow.
Mac Miller, Circles.
Oh, okay. Haven't heard that one.
Oh, Self-Care. It's an amazing album. Mac Miller Circles is unbelievable.
Oh, Mac Miller.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. One of my favourite songs of all time is Dang with Anderson .Paak. Yeah.
Great. So listen to Circles from the start to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. This opening of Swimming, my regrets look like text I shouldn't send. Yeah. I got neighbours. I got neighbours that feel like strangers. They should be friends. Yeah. Mac's just not with us anymore. Same. Cinematic Orchestra, Ma Fleur. Nick Mulvey, First Mind.
Okay.
Nick Mulvey's a banger.
Yeah.
Whitney Houston, Bodyguard soundtrack.
Classic.
Radiohead in Rainbows.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Paolo Nutini, These Streets. That takes me back to the hair and makeup chair on Harry Potter.
Jenny, don't be hasty.
Yeah. And getting the scar put on and lovely Zoe, my hairdresser, was playing it on a little stereo in the room. Coldplay, Parachutes.
Yeah.
Exceptional album.
Yes. Yeah.
Amy Winehouse, Frank, Not Back to Black.
Oh, okay.
Frank for me, 19 or 20 years old, renting their little fishing cottage on the same road as Helen Mirren's mum. We would party all Saturday night and then sit in one of those Habitat egg chairs on the driveway of the little fishing cottage at the top of the steps, get stoned all day and play Amy Winehouse, Frank.
Oh,
that
my
was,
God.
Yeah,
That
me at
fucked me
like 20
pumps.
years.
Is that? Yes. Yeah.
And then Loyal Kana, Not Waving, Not Drowning. Yeah, it's a great album. It's really good. So there were just a few.
Just a few.
I could list
That's my
off,
car journey home sorted.
I could list off 50.
Oh my God.
There's so many.
I genuinely think that has been the best response to me ever asking that question on this show.
Yeah.
Because normally I get like a bit of sometimes a lot of people will say their own songs, which fair play to them, obviously it makes sense.
Yeah.
But there is some of my favourite songs on those albums.
Yeah. So I've got a project that's in the early days. You might be able to help me on. You work with a lot of music artists.
Yes.
I'm trying to create the UK's first fully inclusive festival called
I'm sold.
Called Festable.
Okay.
It should prioritise wheelchair users and people across the range of disability first.
Yeah.
So it needs to have infrastructure, investment, and that all comes if we get the artists to commit.
Yeah.
Now, I work with the team at the O2
Yeah.
about their accessibility guidance. I told them about it, and they were like, this is a really good idea. The venue of the O2 would be great because it's got all the infrastructure that you need, the accessible
very
toilets,
open as well. Yeah.
the quiet places that you're going to need for people on the range of neurodivergence. You can have, vibrating jackets for people that are deaf, or, you could literally have the whole thing set up properly, but it takes infrastructure.
Yeah.
And it takes artists to commit. Because if I get someone like Ed or, Fred again or whoever it is, if I get them to commit, then the money comes afterwards.
Yeah.
So, that's my dream, is to set up a fully inclusive festival. The floor of the O2 could be for all the wheelchair users, and a central column, and then no one stands up in front of you. There can be a standing and dancing area right in front of the stage, elevated stage, and then the 18,000 seats on the side could be for the rest of you lot.
Yeah.
But it would be really nice to have a whole day.
I'm sold.
Yeah.
Literally, music is what kind of got me and my mum through the whole thing. Like the last gig we ever went to together was Pete Tong, and
brilliant.
Jules Buckley, the orchestra, as well as Adele. Like they were the last 2 gigs that we went to together. And it's been those songs that have really kind of like poured us through.
Yeah.
The one thing that my mum really misses, like it's really sad. Like I'm grieving for a life that my mum could have had, all that kind of stuff. But in a weird way, like if I go over, like I've been to see this person, like my mum doesn't have a clue who like Charlie XCX is. Yeah. And like you're like, I'm almost grieving because like you're missing out on like so much music, and stuff like this would massively help.
I watch Glasgow every year, and I cry. I'm like, I could just wish I could be there and be present, not be there and be like, how am I going to go to the toilet? How am I going to navigate the 20,000 people? How am I going to... So to just be there and be in the moment and with the music. I know that Glasgow's probably not doable for me. It'd take a team of people and all that lot. But the right investment, the right infrastructure, this, music should be for all and inclusive for everybody. And Festival could be that. So that's my pitch.
You heard it here first, so I'm fully behind it.
Yeah.
So
anyone anyone that's an artist, anyone that's got a few quid that listens to this podcast, that's the dream, to set up a festival. I'd like to document it from the start to the finish as a documentary as well. Where I go and like me and a friend of mine, Sophie Morgan, she just campaigned the rights for flights for disabled people, where eventually we might be able to sit in our wheelchairs on an aeroplane. That's the dream.
Do you know, it baffles me that that's not a thing already.
Mate, do you know what? The moment I get to an airport, I know from the second I get out of my car to the second I get to my destination, between those 2 seconds, I am the problem. We've got a wheelchair here. We've got a sir in a wheelchair. We've got a gentleman in a wheelchair. Just a wheelchair. Like, I'm a human being. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's just all of that. I hate it.
It's ignorant.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Ignorant.
Yeah. I'm about to fly to Thailand with Emirates, and they're showing my documentary on the flight. If they break my wheelchair in the flight, they're going to get it. They're going to get it from me. So we'll see.
Just whereabouts in Thailand are you going?
I go to Phuket every year.
Yes.
Yeah, just because you can fly Emirates to Dubai and then Dubai to Phuket. And the pain of winter, I escape it. So me and my lovely partner, we're going to be out there for 3 weeks and just getting like less pain and just to be together.
And to be fair, it's not a bad place to do it. That side of the world is my happy place. Yeah. When I said about the water park, it was in Bali. Yeah. Very fortunate I went to Thailand for last year. It was in Phuket. It's literally... Yeah.
But I move out of this house and friends of mine that are wheelchair users move in.
Yeah.
So them and their families can enjoy this space. Always, man. I can't have all this and not share it. Stop it. Always.
Gift.
Always, yeah.
You have been quite possibly one of the most incredible people that I've ever had on this show. Like, it means a lot.
I can swear, right?
Yes.
Get your tongue out my arse. I can't feel it.
And on that note, thank you so much for joining me.
It's a great way to end it, right? What a lie.
What can I follow up that up with? Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.